Hello, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. My name is Mark Roden, and today I'm a little congested up in this region, up in this area, this continent of my body. I'm a little congested. So if I sound a little weird today, if I sound a little nasally, if I sound like this, hey, put your library books back, buddy. If I sound like that today, that's why. I apologize. But today's video is the top 15 most underrated European, hey dog, European on my truck, cars that I think are underrated. We did this with JDM cars, you guys seem to like it, so today we're going to do it with European, then obviously we'll do it with American, and we'll do some other things here and there, just spice things up a little bit. You guys obviously like the cheap cars, we're obviously going to keep doing those, but I like to spice things up. It's a top 10 channel, man. We could do top 10s on anything. I could do top 10 best vehicles with a steering wheel if I wanted to, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's top 10s. But without further ado, if you guys want to support the channel any more than you already are, head on over to www.smoothstance.com/shop to pick yourself up a hat, shirt, or shorts. And let's get right to the video with the 15th most underrated European car. Coming in at the number 15 spot is going to the wonderful Ferrari F50. The F40, as we all know, is one of the most popular cars in the world. I feel like everybody in the world wants to buy a Ferrari F40 one day. If they costed around the same price as my 350Z, most likely I would already have one because they're absolutely beautiful cars. But the Ferrari F50, on the other hand, gets none of that love, in my opinion. Now, the reason why it's at number 15 is because it is still a Ferrari, and everybody still knows that this car exists, and so it's still like a car that is talked about sometimes just because it's a Ferrari, and it shares the same name as the F40, but with a 5 instead of a 4, obviously. And so it is still talked about a little bit, so it's at number 15, but I think it deserves way more love. Way more love. It's just a better F40, and I said it, I know, I'm not going back on it, though. It's a better F40, and people are like, let's talk about the F40 instead. And in terms of looks, I think it looks incredible. Coming in at the number 14 spot is going to go to all generations of the Audi TT. It doesn't matter if you're talking about first gen, second gen, or the third gen. I think every single one of them are criminally underrated. These cars come with a, pretty decent engine options for their time. The base model, boring, standard Audi TTs all the way from the early 2000s are still pretty quick cars today. And people are like, well, it's not a sedan, it's not a coupe Audi, so I don't really want it, man. I don't know, it's front wheel drive, it doesn't have the all wheel drive. I don't know. Hey, listen, buddy, eat my dookie, okay? First of all, second of all, it's a cool car. Now, in terms of its looks, it's definitely divisive. It depends on what kind of person you are, whether or not you think the looks of the Audi TT is good or not. But I personally think that they look really good, especially the newest ones. Oh my god, the third gens. Oh, they're just beautiful cars. All right, coming in at the number 13 spot. I just blew my nose, so hopefully I'm clear now. I don't sound like a nerd anymore. But 13th is the Mini Cooper R53, specifically the S. Mini Cooper S is the best one, obviously, but even the base models are pretty underrated. These cars run for $3,000 with 120,000 miles on them, and it's a sports car that is supercharged and makes 200 horsepower. I'm not gonna say anything, I'm not gonna be the one to say it, but that's underrated. Okay, I said it, I lied, I am gonna be the one to say it. That's an underrated car. Now, obviously, the reason why people don't talk about these cars a lot is because it's a Mini Cooper. Mini Coopers are known as a girly car, and on top of that, the Mini Cooper S is quite unreliable. It's not the best daily driver option out there, but if you're just wanting a cool little sport hatchback for very, very cheap, it's an incredible option that has more horsepower than most GTIs do today. This video is all over the place today. I'm congested. My dogs are barking upstairs and I can't get them to shut up. So I'm sorry if you can hear them in the background. I hope you can't, but if you can, I apologize. But number 12, the most underrated, is the BMW E24, which is a 6 Series. It doesn't really matter which one you're talking about. Obviously, the 635 CSI is the best one of the bunch. But even if you're talking about a sedan, early base model, boring one, they're still underrated as hell. These are the shark nose BMWs, is what the cool kids call them, and I'm a cool kid, so I call it that. They have the slant, the pointy front end, and it just looks incredible. I've said this before, and I'm going to say it again. This is one of my favorite, if not my favorite, BMW ever built, and BMW is my favorite brand of all time. So it's literally one of my favorite cars of all time, if you think about it that way, and nobody really talks about it. Now, obviously, BMW is a very popular brand. It gets a lot of love, and so every car in BMW is a little bit talked about, but I feel like it should be talked about a whole lot more than it is. Coming in at the number 11 spot is going to go to the Audi RS7 Sportback. What? Sportback? Where's the back at? Oh, it's playing sports. What sport? Tennis. Oh my god, I didn't know Audi's played tennis. That's what it's doing. Audi RS7 Sportback, baby. There's one in my town, actually. He drives around all the time, and oh my god. Listen to me, friendo. That car gets my eyes do the thing like the cartoons where it's like, oh, and they like come flying out of my head and go back in whenever I see it drive by me. It is beautiful. One of the most beautiful cars I've ever laid eyes on. No joke. On top of that, it's obviously incredibly fast. It's incredibly luxurious because it's an Audi. It's incredibly expensive. My dogs are really loud. They're really letting me know they're up there right now. But it's so well worth it. If I had the money to buy an RS7 Sportback, your boy would be whipping one. I would be whipping it to the moon and back. Coming in at the number 10 spot, breaking its way into the top 10, are going to all the generations of the Jaguar XKR. The first gen XKR, you could find for around $10,000, which is mind-blowing. It makes over 350 horsepower. It's a British, good-looking, luxurious car. Obviously, its reliability is going to be questionable because it's a British with a V8 in it. I think it has a V8. Yeah, V8. But either way, it's still an absolute monster of a car. It's like the Bentley Continental before the Bentley Continental was cool. That's how I picture these Jaguar XKRs. They're a perfect mixture of sport but luxury at the same time. And if that's what you're looking for and you're on a budget, honestly, these cars are an incredible deal. And nobody talks about them. Why? I don't know, probably because they're Jaguars and people like have a weird hatred for Jaguars for no reason. But either way, look into them. They're awesome. Coming in at the number 9 spot is the Volvo S60R. I have talked about the S60R. Whoa, something just happened upstairs. I've talked about the S60R before in my videos. I love it. Most of you guys seem to like it too. Every time I bring it up, a lot of you guys are like, oh my god, I didn't even know that car existed. That's a really cool car. Then a lot of you guys will be like, oh my god, I own one of those. You should do a deep dive on one of those. And so most of you guys like them, but I feel like the rest of the community doesn't. And on top of that, even the people that do like the S60R, myself included, always just kind of forget about it, you know, until like you're really starting to think of like, okay, what are some underrated European cars? The Volvo S60R. That's one of the first cars that come to mind when you think about underrated European cars. There's one in my town and it drives by and it sounds incredible, dude. These are turbocharged inline 5s, which is really cool. They're all-wheel drive, which is really cool. They make 300 horsepower, which is really cool. I love them. I love everything about them. And they look good. When Volvo usually doesn't really make their cars look that great, the S60R does. Coming in at the number 8 spot is going to go to a car I've literally never talked about before because I didn't really know it existed before making this video. The Alfa Romeo 156 GTA. Obviously, if you live in America, we didn't really get this car. Alfa Romeo is just kind of like relatively new to us. We didn't get a lot of older Alfa Romeos, but this thing is pretty sick. Obviously, its performance is pretty average. I mean, it's not like bad, but it's not great either. It's just a pretty decent performance-wise. But Alfa Romeo makes some it's literally Italian cars, but that you could drive daily. And what is there not to like about that? Ferrari, Lamborghini, Pagani, all these Italian car manufacturers that are like obviously incredible, like that are like, wow, awesome, are pretty much just jam-packed into a little compact body with this Alfa Romeo 156 GTA, and that just makes me happy. I don't know. It's a little bit of a guilty pleasure one. It makes me happy. Coming in at the number 7 spot, this is actually the car that made me make this video because I was looking up just some cool cars that I forgot about, and this one popped up and I was like, oh my god, that is so underrated. I'm doing underrated German cars, or European cars rather. It's the Ferrari 550 Maranello. There's a bunch of different Ferrari 550s. There's like a 565, 575M, a bunch of different random Maranellos. But I'm just going to go with the 550 because I think it's just the easiest to name off. These Ferraris are like before, you know how like we have the F12 TDF, we got the 812 Superfast, you got the FF nowadays, the GTC4 Lusso, all those like front engine rear wheel drive Ferraris nowadays. This is like those cars before they came out. And I think that this thing looks fantastic. I think it's one of the better, and I'm not joking when I say this. I think it's one of the better looking Ferraris of all time. I'm not even joking. It just looks so good. It's a perfect mixture of like, you know, it doesn't stand out too much, but at the same time, it's not going to blend in, and I love it. Coming in at the number 6 spot is going to the Volkswagen Corrado VR6, specifically the VR6, but honestly, the Corrado is just underrated in general. I'm putting the VR6 here though because the VR6 is obviously an incredible motor. These VR6 powered Volkswagens have always been a tuner's dream. They can make incredible power. They put them in the Mark III GTI, I think, and then they even put it in the Mark R32, if I'm not mistaken. But either way, they also put it in the Corrado. And nobody cares because the Corrado looks a little bit different. I think it looks good. A lot of people, like, obviously hate the looks of it. And I can understand why. It is very weird looking. But I think it looks good. And so since it just doesn't really sit right with everybody else, the prices for these cars are dirt cheap. You can find a VR6 Corrado under 10K. Under 10K. With a VR6 powered Volkswagen wagon. And it looks decent. I think it looks pretty good, but other people are gonna, it's up to you, obviously. But it looks good, has a VR6, is a Volkswagen. Buy it. Buy it right now. Coming in at the number 5 spot is one of my old dream cars. I used to literally dream about owning one of these things all the time back when I played Gran Turismo 4. The Lotus Esprit with the V8. There is some V6 powered Lotus Esprits, and then there's even some older generations of Lotus Esprits. I'm talking about the newest one, though. I'm talking about the one that they left off of with the pop-up headlights and the little spoiler on the back. It was always in yellow for some reason, but it always worked really well. Lotus, in general, is a very underrated car brand, I would say. They don't get a lot of love at all. But the Esprit was just, oh my god, so cool. On top of that, I used to watch Top Gear back when it was actually good, and they had like the review for the Lotus Esprit V8, and it made me fall in love with it even more. They loved the car. It was so much fun to drive in video games. It looks incredible. It has a V8, British powered V8, keep in mind, so it's probably unreliable as hell, but who cares? Mid-engine, rear-wheel drive, Lotus, pretty much supercar, to be honest, at the time. Coming in at the number 4 spot is going to go to the Audi V8. Yeah, it's called the V8. It's like a D15 something V8, but everybody just calls it the Audi V8. And it's the car on your screen. It's a like old retro style Audi with a V8 in it, obviously. I'm going to be 100% honest with you. I don't know much about the performance of this car. Obviously, I know it comes with a V8 because it has the V8 name on it. But since it comes with a V8 and it's a retro, older Audi, that already is enough to make it cool. It obviously has the Quattro all-wheel drive too, so you got the all-wheel drive package in there. You could do whatever you want with that action. V8s from Germany are going to be a little bit questionable no matter what you're buying from, whether it's Audi, Mercedes, or BMW. The reliability is going to be a little bit but I think, honestly, out of all 3 of those brands, the one that's going to be your best bet is Audi. I think Audi is probably the most reliable. And so there's really not much wrong with this car at all. It's luxurious. It looks really cool as a V8 in it. Maybe a little unreliable, but on top of that, it's going to have some power behind it. Breaking its way into the top 3, though, the podium finish, a bronze medal. 3rd place is a Mercedes-Benz SL65 AMG Black Series. Such a long name because Mercedes doesn't know how to make things short, but it's, oh my goodness gracious. When this car came out, dude, back in the old days, back when I was just a young lad running around with my Willie hanging out, I loved this thing. I still love it. Obviously, it's here at my 3rd place. But back when this thing was like an actual like dream car of mine when it came out, and it's just fallen off the face of the earth. Like nobody talks about it. Obviously, Mercedes came out with that AMG GTR, GT3, GT, whatever they're calling it, that supercar that they have now, and so everybody's attention went to that car. And then even the SLS AMG was really popular. But this SL65, even the non-Black series, without the wide body kit, without the crazy like aero, is a cool car. But the freaking aero on it, it literally looks like a race car that you could just drive on the streets. And I love it. I love it so much. For 2nd place, however, we're going to go biggity back to Germany. We're staying in Germany, and we're going to go to the BMW factory. But we're going to take a trip back to the 90s for the BMW factory to talk about the BMW 8 Series E31. The 8 Series in general kind of doesn't get a lot of love because they are very expensive cars. And so most people that don't really talk about the really expensive cars in the car community. We talk about the cheaper cars because we can afford them. But I think there are some exceptions, and this is one of them. This is like dream car material here. Like, I feel like I might put somebody onto this car. Somebody that didn't know it existed before is going to hear this and be like, wow, I want that car. The car was in the 90s, first of all, by the way, had close to 400 horsepower, had a V10 under the hood. It was incredibly beautiful looking, obviously. Look at the freaking thing. It's gorgeous. It had pop-up headlights. It looked so sleek. It had all the comfort you could possibly want in a BMW at the time. And the 8 Series have only just evolved since then. The new 8 Series is also very, very good. Top of the line BMW. But I'm talking about the E31. I love it. It is one of my favorite BMWs ever. But 1st place, in my opinion, the most underrated European car to ever exist is the Opel Speedster / the Vauxhall VX220, whatever you want to call it. They're exactly the same car, to be honest. But these things, dude, oh my Lanta. If you want to talk about an underrated car, you talk about this thing. It's a roadster, first of all, which is some people don't like, and I understand why some roadsters don't work, but I think it works really, really well with this car. It's obviously rear-wheel drive, which is really cool. It's not that great performance-wise, like it doesn't have a lot of horsepower, but it's a lightweight little track day monster. Think of it like a Toyota MR2. That's a perfect representation of it. It's literally like a European MR2. And no one even, I feel like most people don't even know that they exist, let alone actually like them. And the only reason why I even know they exist is because of Need for Speed Hot Pursuit 2. I used to race in it all the time. But oh my God, it's such a cool car, dude. Such a cool car. They need more love. Give the Opel Speedsters / Vauxhall VX220s way more love, because they deserve it, man. Look at them. Just look at it. Look at it ripping around. But ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of today's video of the top 15 most underrated European cars to ever grace the face of the earth. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel for more content just like this. Let me know what other European cars you think I missed. There are a lot of underrated European cars out there. I didn't even mention any cars from Alfa Romeo besides that 156 GTA. I only mentioned one Volvo, no seats, no Renaults, whatever you want to call it. No Citroens, no Peugeots, no Porsche was on this list. So there's a lot of brands that I've completely even missed in general. And there's definitely going to be some underrated cars within those brands. So let me know what other underrated cars you think I missed. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate it. Das Vidania, and have a nice night.